In today's show, Fremantle and West Coast beware. Tasmania is coming. And we also preview this year's Doig medal. Welcome to the West Sports Show. We are brought to you by TabTouch. Got the touch? Download the TabTouch app today. What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. It's Thursday post-grand final. I am joined, as always, by Craig O'Donoghue, fresh off the plane from the grand final in Melbourne. COD, and it's been such a big week. The Eagles have been handed their assistant package. The bounce has been banned. The sub has been rubbed. Tasmania has been given an unbelievable list build concession package. But most importantly, there's clause number 3, $5 million of signing bonus outside the AFL salary cap. The Eagles and the Dockers should be very, very worried.
Yeah, every club should be worried, but if you're a Fremantle or, as you just drop everything down on the ground, if you're a Fremantle or West Coast fan, you should be really worried right now based on who is available to Tasmania on the out-of-contract players at the time, because the key out of this is you're not out of contract as in you have to be traded. You are out of contract and considered a free agent. And there are 2 names I'm going to put on the table, one from Fremantle and one from West Coast.
And I'm figuring they're the 2 biggest names that the clubs don't want to lose.
Caleb Serong is out of contract for Fremantle in 2027, which makes him a free agent to Tasmania. He is also a free agent in general. And Harley Reid is now a free agent to Tasmania in 2028 and out of contract for every other club in the competition to trade for as well. But he's a free agent to Tassie with just a truckload of money for them to be able to spend. And both clubs should be really, really worried.
So, and there's obviously players at other clubs who will be in a similar position. But how does this this $5 million, so you cannot spend more than 3 in 1 year, but it's outside the salary cap. So how's it going to work?
So this is what I was looking at earlier. I was saying
you are surrounded by figures.
I have lots of paper on my table at the moment. So I thought it was important to give people perspective on how much money Tasmania will have to spend already on top of this $3 million in 1 year and $2 million in another year, or $2 million and then $3 million, however they want it to work. So in 2027, the year before they come into the competition, the salary cap will be $18.4 million. That's what you can pay your entire roster. They are going to be filled in 2028 by a squad that are mainly first and second year players. So in 2027, the base wage for a top 10 draft pick is $150,000. Then you get $4,000 per game. If you're an 11 to 20 draft pick, you get $140,000 plus $4,000 per game. 21 to 50, $130,000 plus $4,000. 51 beyond, and it's $125,000 per grand. They will have picks 1, 3, 9, and 13 in that first year guaranteed. So if we look at it, and say they're going to have 8 elite picks who play 20 games in year 1, right? This includes some of the guys they pick in the year before that they have access to. Those guys combined will be paid $1.84 million. Then they're going to have 8 guys on their list who just don't play at all, who are down the bottom, who are those late picks. Those guys combined are going to get paid $1 million. And then they'll have 8 guys who'll play 12 games or so who are that middle bracket, and they'll be all paid a total of about $1.4 million. Suddenly, they've still got about $14 million to spend on the rest of their squad. So you can actually turn around and say, hey, Nasiah Wanganeen-Malera, here's $2.5 million.
Who's only signed on for 2 more years.
He's one of the guys who's out of contract. Here's $2.5 million plus a $750,000 signing bonus. Hey, Chad Warner, here's $2.5 million plus a $750,000 signing bonus. Hey, Caleb Serong, here's $2.5 million and a $750,000 signing bonus. And hey, Sam Lawler, who's just been the number 1 draft pick last year, here's 1.5 plus 375 signing bonus. And they've still got $5.1 million left in their salary cap after doing all that, and 2.4 left in their signing bonus next year to go after Harley Reid, or go after Riley Thilthorpe, or Nate Caddy, or Colby McKercher. It's nuts.
And the compensation will be a floating draft pick.
Yeah. So who knows what they get. But if you're So Fremantle,
how does that work, the floating draft pick?
It'll be over a couple of years when you can use it. But if we look at how Fremantle specifically have set up their list, they've gone in knowing Tasmania were coming, and they said
A lot of long-termers, yeah.
let's try to avoid this being an issue for us. So Hayden Young's isn't until beyond 2030. Neither Sean Darcy's a 2030. Brendan Cox. They've got rid of all these guys. Luke Jackson 2029. Andrew Brayshaw is now long-term as well. So they've made sure that these guys aren't an issue.
It's Caleb's the odd one out, isn't he?
Is the one who was contracted through until he was a free agent, and it just so happened to be that 2027 was always going to be that year for him as well. So he's going to make so much money no matter what he does. He either stays at Fremantle and makes bank, he goes home to Victoria and makes bank, or he goes to Tasmania and gets 2 banks.
Yeah.
It's because he's going to win the Doig medal on Saturday night.
Yeah.
He's going to go.
We'll talk about that in a moment. Yeah.
He's going to go 3-time, and he's going to be the second player ever in Fremantle's history to go 3 in a row. So he's the one. You're allowed 1 player from each club.
Yep.
He's the guy on that list from Fremantle. Here's the full list of players from Fremantle who are out of contract in 2027 or 28. We'll start with 27. Alex Pearce, who is a Tasmanian but will be old.
Yep.
Brandon Walker, Caleb Sarong, Cooper Simpson, Heath Chapman, Jeremy Sharp, Josh Draper, Carl Warner, Luke Ryan. So
and Luke Ryan by that stage
will be quite old as
yeah.
well. And then 28, they've got Jordan Clark and Neil Erasmus.
Mm-hmm.
So Caleb Sarong jumps off the page as one you
and
can
it's
go,
important
bang,
to
let's go
mention
get him.
1 per club.
1 per
so
club.
So you can't go again the following year at the same club.
No.
Yeah.
And then for 2027 from West Coast, it's Archer Reid, Elliot Yeo, Harry Edwards, Matt Owies, Ruben Jinby, Sandy Brock, Tim Kelly. So out of those, Archer Reid and Ruben Jinby would be of interest to them, but they're not going to go that year because they're going to wait till next year and go after Harley Reid. And if they miss out on him, then it's Bo Allen, Brady Hoff, Jack Graham, Job Shanahan, Liam Duggan, Tom McCarthy, Tyrell Dewar. So Harley Reid's going to be the one that is going to throw money at. And if you look at what the money can actually do for a player, say you're offering all these guys $8 million over 5 years, they would end up with $4.4 million in their pocket after tax, no matter whether you pay it with a lump sum up the front or whether you pay it evenly over the same year. But if you give them that 3.5 in the first year, they take home 1.8 in that first season after tax, compared to $877,000 per year normally. So it's an extra $1 million that you just get into your pocket straight away. Go and put that on a house, and it's like, well, you just saved nearly your entire mortgage. Go and buy 2 houses if you want. That's where it comes in. That extra money early, you can say, we'll give it all to you now, and then you'll be on far less money for the bulk of it. But hey, look at what you can do. And Harley, if you only want 2 years, we'll do that as well.
There'll be a fair bit of interest when Parliament votes on the Tasmanian football team stadium in November.
How worried would you be if you're Fremantle or West Coast on those names sitting there?
They'd be anticipating this. Obviously, that's why they've shored them up for lengthy periods of time. But they'll be working very hard on Caleb Sarong. They know they're going to. Everyone knows they're going to lose a good player. So it's a fact of life. They'll be working very feverishly over the next couple of years to try.
It's big money, isn't it?
He's also considered a future captain of that football club. So he's a very important part of the machine work at the Dockers.
The concern is that when I talk about those figures of what you can get in that first year, and the difference in tax a lot of the time means that if the difference between $1.5 and $2 million isn't overly significant for these guys because of what it works out to, but the difference when you chuck in that extra $1 million in 1 year on top of it straight away in your pocket, tax-free. It's like, whoa, that's just so hard to say no to, especially at that point. If Fremantle have won a flag, then all of a sudden he might be looking at it differently. If Fremantle haven't won a flag, he might be saying, well, I don't think it's going to happen here. I can make my money now. He's probably going to be around the age where he's starting to think about having kids, or he might already have a child. And then it's like, oh, this would be a good opportunity to set up our lives. And around the comp, like I said, 1 player from each club. We're talking guys like Isaac Rankin, Darcy Wilmot, Nick Martin, Matt Rowell and Noah Anderson would be battling for the same one spot out of Gold Coast. Tom Green and Lockie Ash, similar position out at GWS. Will Day, Mitch Georgiades, I mentioned Chad Warner, Alex Tauru, if they can't get Nasiah Wanganeen Miller. These are big names. And as I said, in 28, you got Harley Reid, McKercher, Caddy and Thilthorpe. Like they're massive names. And if you can just go and get the right number of them, you don't have to get 18 all on big dough. You just got to get 4 or 5.
So Doig medal Saturday night. Sarong, we expect to win it. Top 5. So I've got Brayshaw, Jordan Clark, Luke Jackson. The 5th is interesting. Is it Murphy Reid a sneaky chance to go in there? You think he'll get the Beacon Award? Or is it Josh Tracy or Luke Ryan? Who do you think rounds out the top 5?
Yeah, I think Josh Tracy's the other one.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think Murphy Reid.
So you got Sarong, Brayshaw, Clark, in no particular order, Jackson and Josh Tracy.
Yeah, because Murphy Reid will be lower down than that. I think his best games we all remember, but we also have to remember that there were a lot of times throughout the season playing that half forward role. It's starvation corner. There's games where you just don't see much of it, and it's voted on game by game. So over the course of the season, it doesn't take much to have 3 or 4 where you don't really do much as a first-year player, and then you fall down that order quite quickly. So, yeah, but I think Tracy is the other one that you mentioned is a clear example of someone who will be up there. Brendan Cox, I think, will poll really, really well. It was so important for them, especially when Alex Pearce was hurt. So, yeah, those are the guys who should be the ones who are fighting it out. But I think Sarong will just have the edge over those other blokes who were all in the All-Australian squad as well.
So, as I mentioned at the opening, an assistant package handed out to the Eagles. Now, I think we're both in the same corner. Well, I'm certainly not for assistant packages. I don't think they should be made available. However, they had to have a swing at it, and they've been successful. It's interesting. So picks 1, we expect them to get pick 2, 15, 19 and 20, among others. But so that it gives them the opportunity to perhaps package up 15 and 19 and climb even further up the draft, perhaps get 3 picks inside the top 10, keeping in mind there's going to be a slide after 2. The other interesting part of it is the Oscar Allen compensation. So pick 2. That's your compensation. So you don't want to dilute it with another free agent. So I think Brandon Starcevich, there'll be a trade. So that's going to be interesting to see what they do. I think both Brisbane and West Coast want this to happen. So Brisbane needs Oscar Allen. I think the Eagles need pick 2. They want Brandon Starcevich.
And Brisbane need the picks to be able to get Daniel Annabels early in the draft.
So it'll be done. And it's happening over the next 7 days. So really interesting to see how the Brandon Starcevich trade comes to play. There will be some clauses in there, games triggers, which will ensure them to a certain degree against anything that, and heaven forbid anything happens to Brandon Starcevich in terms of concussion. But the fact is he's had several concussions, and we know where the AFL sits on this at the moment. So
when you look at the assistance package for the Eagles, I've got a theory around why they felt compelled, the AFL, to give them this year, and that is because they knew that a couple of hours after they announced that they were going to help them out, they were going to announce that Tasmania were coming in, and you might lose Harley Reid.
It was the next day, I think.
Yeah. So Harley Reid's going to be available to Tasmania, and whoever goes number 1 in this year's draft for West Coast will also be available to Tasmania, because his 3 years will be up.
Can't, unless they can get him.
So the players that they draft under this year will all be vulnerable to Tasmania. And I think that the AFL would have turned around and gone, oh God, what if in a worst case scenario Tassie go and take Harley, or Harley leaves and then they go and get Tasmania go and get somebody else? Like that, what could happen to West Coast there? So I think they felt like they have to get on the front foot and give them a bit of some sort of a leg up, even though I don't think it helps them all that much, that end of first round pick, along with all the other things.
Pick 20 is important, though, because it's the first pick of round 2. And
it is, but if it's not a great draft, like people say that Murphy Reid, who was picked 17 this year, would be a top 5 pick this year.
Yep.
Based on where he was picked last year, not based on how he's played this year. So if it's not that deep, that means that pick 20 is actually more equivalent to pick 30, 35, and it might be 30 or 30 by the time everything else happens along the way with academy picks and father son. So I don't think it's going to help them a lot. So I think they do need to use it to potentially package it up, as you said. Liam Ryan, potentially to St Kilda.
There'll be Chesser as well.
Yeah.
Chesser, there'll be later compensation.
So if you put all of them together, you might be able to find a way to work with some of the clubs that need to get rid of their first pick because they're trying to get points and things like that. So there's ways to get in. But yeah, they need to get more picks in that early top 10 to really help them, and hopefully they can package them up rather than using those picks later.
Just a last word on Harley. Having spent considerable time in Tasmania, I've driven round the island, I've walked through the guts of it. I don't think Hobart's big enough for Harley.
He's from Tongala.
Yeah, I know that, but his stature has grown somewhat.
It has, but if they can offer him, or anyone, you can offer people that much money, and you can even say, look, we just need a player who is going to give us the big name, like Gary Ablett was at the
Gold
Gold
Coast,
Coast.
yeah.
You need the big dog walking in the door.
I've just thrown my water bottle again, knowing
That's
that Will
twice.
Day may be going to Tasmania.
Yeah, so if you can get the big dog in the door, it only takes a couple of years. Like
a big dog, it's a pack.
Yeah,
more than one.
You can sign a couple of them by saying, "We only need you for 2 years. We need the name to come down, and then we'll release you." Or you might want to be released, and we'll say yes 2 years later. But you've shown everyone, come and watch us. Come and sign up as a member. Get other players to come along and play with you. There's all these ways that they can do it because they'll go young. Because if you look at what the Suns did, the Suns went and got Gary Ablett at 26, Josh Fraser at 29, Campbell Brown was 27, Jared Brennan was 26, Nathan Bock was 28, Michael Rischitelli was 25, Daniel Harris was 28. Then the Giants went and said, Callum Ward, 21, Phil Davis, 21, Tom Scully, 20, Reece Palmer, 23. And they just said, we're going to go and get youth who we can have for a long time and then gradually build with experienced players like Luke Power, Chad Corns, James McDonald and Dean Brogan on small money as assistant coaches as well. And then they started filtering other guys through later on. So I think their attack will be on one or two around Caleb Sarong's age, but the other ones will be the younger guys who will just suddenly make a truckload of money.
Now, I have to ask you, being a former umpire and a former umpire's coach, the other news yesterday was the scrapping of the sub, so 5 on the interchange bench as of next year. There'll still be a 75 cap rotation. I think that may come down in future years. But banning the bounce, what's your view?
So on top of being a former umpire and a former umpire's coach, I'm also the worst bouncer in the history
You
of
were
the world.
the worst.
I'm officially, now that it's gone, I can say that I will forever hold the title of the worst bouncer in waffle history.
So how hard did you work on bouncing?
Oh, I worked on ridiculously hard.
Just you couldn't get it right?
I'm not overly flexible.
Yep.
My kids laugh at my lack
So
of
just
flexibility.
explain that. So you need to get the back.
You need to be lower to the ground.
To get a perfect bounce.
I have short arms and long legs, which doesn't help either. So I'm trying to get as low to the ground as possible. And I'm not an explosive athlete. Like I was an endurance athlete. I'm a better putter than I am a driver in golf.
Yep.
I'm not a pace bowler. I'd be a spin bowler. I'm an endurance runner rather than a sprinter, all those sorts of things. I'm not built with fast twitch fibers. So nothing was set up for me to be a good
What about me
bouncer.
with my tiny hands? How would I have gone? I couldn't even pick the footy up at training with one hand, which was horrible.
Hands aren't the issue. It's your ability to get low to the
Still
ground.
got to get your hands around the
flexible.
footy, though.
My concern isn't for the. I think the game needed the bounce for the ruckman.
Yep.
My concern isn't no. Yes, it was challenging for all the umpires, and there's back problems and shoulder problems, and everyone's had those issues, and the inaccuracies of bounces at times and all that sort of stuff. I get all of that, but if you put a 198 centimetre ruckman out there against a 215 centimetre ruckman, and they know the ball's going straight up, the 215 centimetre ruckman has a massive advantage. And now that we've allowed rucks to step over the centre line, put their arm out, and hold the other guy out, I don't see how a leaping ruckman is going to be able to compete.
Well, you need to tweak those rules. I think that's what Lee Matthews was saying yesterday. Now they need to go another step further and tweak those rules.
Yeah, so you have to go back to what it was before this year, which is you can't use your hand to block the opposition ruckman. You have to go at the ball. And if you choose to block, then it will be a free kick. That will allow the Nick Natanuis of the world and Luke Jacksons to run and jump and tap. That's what ruck work needs to be. Otherwise, it just becomes a mess. And what we saw this year was ugly, and I don't like it at all, especially when we expect they're going to take away boundary throw-ins between the arcs a lot of the time.
Yep. That
will then take away from it as well, because we want the 5th player, now the 23rd player in the team, the 5 on the bench, we want that guy to be a ruckman. We want to see the Sean Darcy, Luke Jackson combination across every team, keep tall players in the game.
So I think this 5 on the bench will enhance that.
Yeah, it will, but it will not if they're allowed to block as the taller person the entire time. That will just make them say, let's go and get bean poles. And if you're a shorter ruckman who can't play as a key forward, you're 198 to 204 and everyone else is 215, where do you sit in the game then?
On the flip side, speaking to Dean Margetts yesterday, and he said, if you look at it from the umpiring perspective and the talent pathways, he knew of senior umpires who were physically ill on the eve of the games, just with the thought of having
to bounce
the ball. That was you, among others.
Yeah.
But a lot of kids, like the 15-year-old who wants to come, how the hell am I going to be an AFL umpire if I just can't get this bouncing? So he just thinks it will help enhance talent pathways and open it up a bit for more people. So I think we've really got to look at that. It's got to be an attractive proposition, umpiring.
There's no doubt that it's better for umpires. Okay, it is 100% better for umpires to not have to bounce the ball, but I don't think it's better for the game. That's my point. And the bounce was initially brought in, 100 years ago.
1886 or 7?
Yeah, it was brought in not to be accurate. It was brought in to be inaccurate. The umpire's job was to put it on his hand and punch it into the ground so it would spread the packs. And then they'd all just go and chase it. And as the game progressed, it became, let's make it as accurate as possible. So, there's no one teaching young umpires how to bounce. I never had a bouncing coach at any level, from juniors to amateurs to TAC Cup in Victoria, which is now Coates League, to Waffle. There was no bouncing coach. I was just left to wallow and couldn't bounce, and just had the ball in my hand. It felt like a hand grenade was going to go off. And my first game of Waffle League football had 8 bounces in the first quarter, only 1 went straight.
Is that right?
And
did you have to call them back and throw it up?
No, you couldn't recall it back then. It was just going. I was getting yelled at the entire time.
The players would have
So
been.
nearing quarter time, I had a bounce that I'd called out of arena Joondalup in front of the scoreboard, but in front of the grandstand directly opposite. I looked at it and it was like 28 minutes. And I thought, I'm dropping myself for next week already, because I'm not going to ruin this game anymore when I threw the ball up. And I threw it up for the rest of the day and got dropped, which I deserved to be for the way.
So they also have AFL clubs get umpires in to help bounce the ball, and also the coaches have to learn how to bounce the ball. So because they have to run drills, so you can take that out of the equation.
Yep.
For me, it's the theatre too. Like I'm a pro bounce, okay,
Yep.
but I was always a pro bounce, as in start each quarter with the bounce.
You
right?
can't do that though, because you got to practice.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But I just can't imagine grand final day. The absolute theatre, one of the great moments of a grand final is the opening bounce. And look, I might be wrong, but let's see how it pans out next year when the ball is thrown up. I just, it's not going to be the same.
As long as the ruckmen jump at each other, I think we still get the spectacle.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it still looks okay.
It's when into the circle.
It's when it's
the
thrown up
disc.
and they just clash and just stand there and knock the ball to ground. I also think it's going to be important from a game perspective to have the no one wants the umpires backing towards the middle of the ground.
Yep.
But if the boundary line's behind me right now, if you're watching this, and you're the ruckman, and I throw the ball up and back out towards the boundary, you hit the ball towards the boundary line. And that causes a throw-in, or it causes all the players to jump on it and there's a secondary stoppage. When the umpire was backing back towards the middle of the ground, the ruckmen were facing the middle of the ground, and it got tapped back towards the centre and it opened up the game. So everyone says, get the umpires out of the corridor. By moving them out of the corridor, the ruckman faced the wrong direction, and that ruins the game. So I think they need to find a way to get the ruckman hitting the ball back towards the middle and figure out a positioning which will allow that to happen, and along with the other ruck work which we talked about, which was allowing them to jump at each other. That will help the game to look a lot better.
Before we get on to some mail, is it fair to say Mad Monday may be a thing of the past?
Yeah, I think, it's certainly dressing up. Mad Monday used to be so much fun.
It did.
I loved Mad Monday. I wasn't even a drinker and I loved Mad Monday.
What's a Mad Monday like for umpires?
Oh, the same as for everyone
A
else.
mild Monday?
It's the same as any cricket team. It's the same as any netball team. It's the same as any footy team. It's everyone getting on the piss and having fun together. That's literally all it is. So it's a good day, but unfortunately, there's been too many people who can't handle their alcohol and just lose the plot.
Well, it's not even
and others get dressed up and choose the wrong
thing. All the
thing.
Geelong drama happened before they'd really got stuck into it.
Yeah, they made mistakes in the build-up, didn't they? And GWS did last year as well.
Didn't have a good week. And GWS were told this year there's no dress-ups. You just turn up in your jeans and turn up in your civvies.
Realistically, Mad Monday should be who's got the biggest house. And then you go to that person's house and get on it there and go for your life. Put your phones down. Don't let anyone see what's going on, and have a great time that way. Hire whatever you want to bring people in and stuff, and make it.
Can't you just imagine
occasion.
the Geelong hierarchy on Monday, just back at Cardinia Park, just looking at the social media post, going, "Oh no, get on the phone. Tell him to take it down. Tell him to take the Kerno post down. Tell him to take that post down."
Yeah,
would have been a nightmare day for them.
It should be phones away.
Yeah.
Enjoy your day amongst yourselves, because those days were like I used to love the camaraderie and the talking absolute crap and how the day went, and it was always fun. And it used to be fun for the clubs as well, but phones and dress ups and just losing the control a little bit. We've seen too many incidents where Mad Monday has resulted in players leaving clubs or clubs getting fined and all those sorts of things. And you don't want that.
Final one without notice. So just having come back from the grand final, who's your team of the 21st century? Is it Brisbane with 5 flags, or is it Geelong with 4 flags but more regular appearances at the pointy end of finals? I've got Geelong ahead of them.
Yeah, so do I.
And I thought that Geelong's performance, they've been smashed over the last, they've done a few things wrong themselves, but I still think it was a mighty effort to get there at all. I think, they had things go against them. I mean, the sub rule itself worked for Brisbane, didn't work for Geelong. But people forget pretty quickly. They got there. They get there just about every year. They've won a flag a couple of years ago. Chris Scott is a very, very good coach, taking nothing away from Brisbane's performance. It was a magnificent performance at the weekend. Could have been 3 flags in a row had things gone well for them against Collingwood. But I just think we need to just show a bit more respect for Geelong and what they've achieved. Yeah,
absolutely. Because Geelong have been up since 2007 and haven't gone down. They've had 1 year down where they missed the 8, but would jump straight back up, and then again down the track 1 year out and then jump back up. Brisbane were a basket case for a long time where no one wanted to play for them.
Well, they've disappeared for a good decade.
Yeah. So I think I would rather barrack. Like I barrack for Essendon, you barrack for Hawthorn. Obviously, Essendon haven't won a final in 21 years. If we win a flag in 2 years' time, it won't mean that those 21 years weren't painful. So I think it's important to look at it and say you want to be contending all the time. You want as a fan to go to the footy going, I think we're a chance this year. I think we're a chance every week. Geelong have never gone through that rebuilding phase where it's like, this is going to be hard for 5 years, whereas Brisbane did. So I think Geelong are the club that every other team would want to be. And I think what the lesson for all clubs like West Coast at the moment is, and what Melbourne appear to be about to go through with allowing all these players to leave, I think they're going down.
Clayton Oliver's the latest one who's been told to look elsewhere.
Petrarca, Jad McVee going out as young players. Well, I can see them having some real hard years. And it's so hard to get back up now because everyone says, free agency, I'll go to a good team. Even players who are contracted, I just want out, I'll go to a good team. People will go to Tasmania. I just think it'd be so hard for all the teams down the bottom now to work their way back up. You need some luck.
Teams that are in that interesting age bracket. So Collingwood for me. So Jamie Elliott has re-signed. Good news for Collingwood. I always thought my Check Elliott leave, you've got to rebuild straight away. But it sort of gives them a little bit of a last gasp swing at it, I reckon, with the squad they've got. So I'm really intrigued to see how Collingwood go because they've also got one eye on Tasmania and what's going to happen in a few years' time. So they've got some really going to be very adept, Geelong, and Collingwood, and how they deal with this.
So they've also got the father-son free kick of Nick Dacos from several years back. So if you can stay up by either bringing players in who are at the right age who can keep you competitive, and knowing that you'll jag a free agent or you'll convince someone else to come along. You just don't want to end up being the club that the bottom falls out because you've mucked up your list and then you have to rebuild because it's too hard to come back up.
When do the Dacos, plural, when do their contracts expire?
Nick Dacos is 29.
Okay.
Josh Dacos, I think he's 29 or 30-ish. They're not in that 27, 28 period.
God forbid for Magpies fans if they were available for Tasmania.
Yeah, but I think they have so much money they can earn by remaining a Collingwood person.
Of course.
That helps them out for sure. But yeah, Nick Dacos is not in that little window.
No.
But it doesn't mean that Tasmania can't come after him and say, here's $3 million as a signing bonus and $3 million up front, and ask Collingwood to trade you to him. Trade you to us. So we'll see what happens.
Thirsty Camel mailbag time. This week's special Hans Super Dry Stubbies. Camel Club member price is $51.99 a carton. Join up in store or online today. Today, Cod, for the last time this year, we're giving away a $50 digital voucher for the year thanks to Thirsty Camel. Thirsty Camel, thank you once again for being great sponsors and friends of this podcast. Hi, team. Great season of podcasting. Thank you. That one-armed bandit Jeremy Cameron should be suspended for the chase-down sling tackle in the third quarter of the grand final. Not a heroic act, as most are calling it. A dangerous tackle due to a lack of duty of care shown. Was lucky not to cause head injury to his opponent. Also, the umpires gave too much rope in the first quarter to backs holding and scragging the forwards. This set the standard for what was allowable contact and therefore took the power tall forwards out of the game, hence favouring the Lions game style. Keep it clean by calling a free kick early on against those dirty backmen, and we get a better and fairer product overall. That's Chris from South Perth. Your thoughts?
I thought the free kick, the Jeremy Cameron one was a dangerous tackle. Yeah, I agree. I thought, that's...
I don't think we called that heroic. I think we called the fact that he went back out there with a broken arm heroic.
The fact that he tried it with a broken arm was heroic. Yeah, I assumed it was going to be a free kick against him for the sling because you're not allowed to lift, sling, rotate or drive with a head in a vulnerable position, and that he definitely slung and rotated a player and the head was in a vulnerable position. So I thought that should have been a free kick. I didn't think that I didn't have a problem with the officiating around.
No, I didn't.
Even
with the
forwards and
strange,
backs.
when I looked at the lopsided free kick at half time, I couldn't believe it because I thought I can't really recall. Maybe there was one Starcevic one which was interesting going with the flight. But I didn't really see any that were egregious.
I thought there was a lot of
well umpired.
There were sloppy tackles, I thought, along the way, which was the reason for the lopsided free kick nature of it. So, yeah, I didn't look at it at any point and go, oh, this is weird. No. Whereas some years I have. The 2016 grand final was a classic example of that when you went, oh, they're making some blues here. But no, in general, I thought they umpired pretty well. I thought the kicking inside 50 was pretty ordinary for most of the game, which was resulting in the defenders having free rein. Harris Andrews did whatever he liked most of the game. So, yeah, it was just one of those games where there was a lot of pressure in the middle of the ground. That put pressure on the kick. Inside 50, suddenly it's a turnover.
Mate, it was a game for the mediums and smalls at Brisbane, that's for sure. Geez, they put on a show for us. Hey, boys, thanks for a fantastic year of the podcast. I particularly love the interviews. I would love to hear more during the off-season and next year. I hope to hear more from you guys over the trade and draft period. Well, yeah, we can make that happen. And yes, we will be aiming to do more interviews next year. The AFL needs to punish Bailey Smith for his off-field behaviour. This year alone, Bailey has made a drug reference on social media, abused a photographer, and made 2 offensive social media posts on Mad Monday without any punishment. Feels like another case of double standards from the AFL. Last year, the AFL banned and fined multiple GWS players for their offensive Wacky Wednesday behaviour, including Toby Green, who wasn't involved but didn't show leadership by allowing it to happen. Bailey posted on his social media where he has over 400,000 followers and he gets away without any punishment. I think he should be banned for 1 to 2 weeks. It would help to pull Bailey into line and will act as a warning to other players. Why do you think the AFL have been so weak on Bailey Smith's behaviour, and do you think he should cop a suspension? I'd love to hear your thoughts, Josh. Well, the AFL had a look at it and said we're going to leave. Obviously, they had conversations with Geelong CEO Steve Hocking behind closed doors. You can deal with it. And Geelong immediately put out a press release saying, we apologise for the behaviour and we'll be reviewing this Mad Monday.
And I think you can say that some people would have looked at what Bailey Smith did and said, oh, that's close to the line. Some people would have said it's over the line. I think everyone would have looked at what Judy West did last year and went, what the hell was that? That's just rotten. It's
and they copped it.
It was offensive. Whack. It was disgusting a lot of the time, what was going on there. So there's no comparison between what the Judy West guys, the more serious ones in the GWS team got suspended for, and what Bailey Smith did. They're chalk and cheese in terms of level of offence. But Bailey Smith definitely has to be really, really careful because he's a great brand. He's great for the game, I think.
Very good player. He was good in the grand final too.
We need characters. We need people who bring people through the gates. They're really important. But the problem is when you're living that social media life, sometimes you forget that all those followers are actual people as well. They're not numbers, and those numbers become a problem for you if you keep crossing the line. So he's got to be careful.
And I think Geelong will have had a chat with him. I'm not for a week or 2 suspension, just for the record either. G'day, lads. Thanks for another year of good work. Just looking how the modern finals have played out, including this year, it seems the key is quality small, medium goal kickers and attacking midfielders, benefiting on the relative chaotic nature of these games. Freo and Adelaide went out in straight sets with 3 tall forwards. Brisbane had the likes of Rayner Bailey, Cameron Lohman, Archie kicking over 20 goals this year and being crucial in the finals. Of Freo's smalls, only Bolton, Frederick and Reid had over 20 goals, with Brayshaw and Sarong contributing about 10 fewer goals each than their counterparts McCluggage and Ashcroft at the Lions. One could argue their backline has similar flaws. What can Freo do to rectify this other than the growth in Dudley and maybe Simpson? What possible trades are out there, and could Amos be up for a trade? I don't think he'll be up for a trade. I think Judd McVie is expected to join that squad, so he will slot into half-back and give them an elite kick.
I'd be in Bobby Hill's here.
Yeah.
If I was Fremantle right now...
They do need that one small forward, don't they? That chaos goal-kicking...
It feels like Bobby Hill's gettable to me. It just feels like the relationship with the club broke down a little bit this year. There's enough off-field stuff for him going on. He's got family issues that he needs to deal with. He's from Perth, so that could help things. Would Fremantle want to get involved in that off-field stuff and worry about what the off-field stuff could do to their on-field? That would be a concern for them. But if they could get him into the team, I think that would change their forward line dynamic quite dramatically. They're absolutely spot on that you need as many of those types of players as possible, because
it's where the game's going.
Yeah, and Sarong's not going to be a goal-kicking midfielder. He's just not. He's a great inside ball winner. But if you're not a goal-kicking midfielder now, you're not going to be. And Brayshaw is similar.
Well, Shai Bolton's a goal-kicking midfielder.
Yes, he's a forward who goes into the midfield more than anything. But they're midfielders per se. They're pure mids. Hayden Young can be that goal-kicking mid, but they don't really have anyone like that. I do think that the most, if you can get more guys inside 50 who are electric, and that was the difference between Brisbane and Geelong. Geelong had a hell of a lot of good players. Everyone does their job every single week, but they didn't have as many guys who you go, that bloke could win you the game off his own boot in 5 minutes. And that's exactly what we've seen in the past couple of years, whether it's Dane Zorko going nuts, Charlie Cameron going nuts, Kai Lohman last year, Calamar Chi last
Ollie
year.
Henry may be one of those players. Maybe.
Yeah, but you go through your Cam Rayner suddenly bubbles up, Lockie Neal suddenly goes nuts. Hugh McCluggage kicks 4 in the space of no time at all. Will Ashcroft, Levi Ashcroft, they've got match winners who can be down and then suddenly be up, or who can be best on ground. And I think the more guys of that you can have, the better. And that's why if I was free, I'd go after a Bobby Hill type to change that forward line mix as well and give you more depth.
Paul from Rockingham asks, now that the season is done and dusted, wondering if Freo will be very active or there will be not much of a trade period for the club. Well, we've sort of answered that.
They've said as well, haven't they, that they don't have many list positions available?
No.
I do think there will be, as we've seen with Clayton Oliver today, there'll be blokes who will just bob up though. So I do think they need to be agile and flexible, to use a COVID terminology.
They will be, yeah.
And if the opportunity comes there, then you've got to seize it, because opportunities don't open up all that much. And one thing you know is Brisbane have just won the flag and they're getting better.
Oh, so they're getting better.
You got
11 under 22 or 10 under 22 of that grand final.
Yeah, like just the fact with the two Ashcrofts sitting there and Jasper Fletcher, who are all young, and then they're getting Oscar Allen and they're getting Draper from Essendon, and they're getting Annabels as a top pick as an academy player. They are going to be better next year, so every other club has to get better just to match them, let alone beat them.
Okay, the last winner for the year, Scott from Dianella, who on Tuesday sent in a really good email that got us talking for some time on the sub rule. So well done, Scott. You'll be notified, and you are the winner of the last Thirsty Camel mailbag for the year. Well done. You have been listening to the West Sports Show. We have been brought to you by Tab Touch. Got the touch? Download the Tab Touch app today. What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Remember, you can watch or listen to this podcast on YouTube Music. Cod, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for your assistance this year. We'll probably get you on during the summer months about trade
West Sports
and draft.
Show will keep
the
going,
West Sports
won't
Show
it?
will keep going in some guys. So
Because it's not the West AFL show, it's the West Sports Show.
Correct. We will
there'll
be back.
Plenty to talk about over the summer.
Thanks for your enormous contribution.
Great work, Quarters. You're a star.